2014, Whiplash premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, where it won both the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award. It has since been named the best film ever to premiere at Sundance in a poll of over 500 filmmakers and critics. It went on to earn 5 Oscar nominations and won 3, instantly turning Whiplash into a modern classic and firmly establishing Damien Chazelle as a major new voice. After making a film about a jazz drummer, his next project centered on another jazz musician, paired with an aspiring actor. He explores the tension between dreams and reality and the cost each one demands. La La Land scored 14 Oscar nominations, tying with All About Eve and Titanic. Chazelle became the youngest Best Director winner at age 32. And, of course, it became the only movie in history to believe it won Best Picture for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I checked.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
Then came a Hollywood epic about the industry's transformation from the silent era to the talkies that examines the industry's destructive behavior and toxic undercurrent, while also acknowledging the artistic innovation and cinematic impact that rose out of it. Both Whiplash and La La Land feature jazz musicians at their centers. That musical through line continues through Chazelle's films. Chazelle keeps returning to the people who will trade their own lives to chase something larger than themselves. In 2018, between La La Land and Babylon, Chazelle released a film often overlooked next to his flashier hits. On the surface, First Man feels like a stylistic break. It's a historical biopic about Neil Armstrong rather than a movie about performers or artists. But thematically, it's pure Chazelle. It explores obsession, sacrifice, and the emotional price of reaching for one impossible goal. The first film Chazelle ever pitched to Ryan Gosling was First Man. The film has the familiar Chazelle signature: a driven protagonist who will risk everything, friends and family who watch with growing alarm, and an ending where characters look at each other silently in anticipation, assurance, and alleviation. But what really sets First Man apart in Chazelle's filmography is its score. Justin Hurwitz, Chazelle's longtime collaborator and college roommate, scored First Man. Their partnership began at Harvard and has been central to everything Chazelle has made since. Chazelle aimed for a score rooted in loss, loneliness, and grief, instead of swelling patriotic spectacle.
Always trying to find this balance, I think, between timeless and emotional, things having to do with grief and yearning and sort of searching for answers.
Hurwitz responded with a score that stays intimate, yet carries a lingering eeriness.
I really love a lot of the family stuff in this movie. For me, that's the heart of it.
Neil Armstrong reportedly took a mixtape of Les Baxter's 1947 album Music Out of the Moon on Apollo 11.
Hey Houston, are you hearing this?
The album featured the theremin player Dr. Samuel J. Hoffman. That sonic detail made its way into the film.
Pretty early on, we landed on theremin as one of the key sounds of the film.
I had to learn to play the theremin, so I spent some time learning that. But that's something that excited me and Damien, was like, how do we use it in a really emotional way?
And then figuring out, okay, what does that mean? Combining theremin with maybe more traditional orchestration, does that create an interesting kind of mix?
Chazelle and Hurwitz used those vintage theremin tones as a bridge between the domestic moments on Earth and the eerie vastness of space.
Ideally, don't want to create these sounds through software as much as like what can we do practically. So that's where we got the idea to do this rotor cabinet in the room. It's used primarily for organs. There's like a speaker inside that spins, so it creates this kind of whirling Doppler effect.
Those choices let the music speak to what's happening beneath the text. First Man isn't a story about outpacing the Soviets, achieving national glory, or pushing science forward. It's about a father mourning his daughter and pouring his ambition into the only place that feels big enough to hold his grief.
The perspective that the film was shot from, in terms of really making an effort to put the audience in the pilot seat of not just the missions, but also of the Armstrong's life.
Gosling gives a performance built on restraint, carrying an ocean of feeling just out of sight. The score acts as a window into everything Neil can't bring himself to show.
I've only worked with Damien on La La Land and on this, but in both cases the style came from the story, and it came from a sort of sense of what experience were you trying to create for the audience.
Over the course of the film, Neil endures more loss as the mission grows more dangerous and the pressure intensifies. Pressure from the government to deliver a political victory,
Requiring so many technological developments that the Russians are going to have to start from scratch. As will we.
pressure from NASA to achieve the impossible,
Thoughts do you have about that when the thought hits you? Gosh, suppose that flight successful?
We're planning on that flight being successful.
and the pressure from his family to come home
You're gonna
alive.
sit them down, both of them, and you're gonna prepare them for the fact that you might not ever come home. You're doing that. You.
The soundtrack grows with Neil's arc. It starts small and intimate, then accumulates instruments and textures until the Apollo 11 sequence blooms into brass and strings that give the moment a complex mix of triumph and sorrow. Chazelle frames the moon landing not as a patriotic triumph for mankind, but as a moment of surrender for a man living in a world without his daughter. That feeling is reflected in the void of space, a world just as unforgiving. Music has always been the emotional engine of Chazelle's films. First Man is an anomaly only in that its protagonist isn't a musician, but Hurwitz and Chazelle turned that apparent mismatch into an advantage, creating a score that takes on a life of its own. Intimate, ghostly, and crucial to the film's emotional weight. Before heading home, Neil drops his daughter's bracelet in a lunar crater. It is his last gesture of letting go, filling the dark void with a part of his daughter. This is what he needed to move forward. Facing a world without air is what allows him to breathe again.